All right, guys. I was going to talk about that. I may even skip my introduction to just get straight to the point. At first, when I read this, I thought it was like copying and pasted on. I thought someone just like was playing games and photoshopping and doing crap like that. But it turns out it was a real comment with Oscar De La Hoya airing out Canelo. Now, I want to break down what he said in the comments. I want to break it down. First thing he said is that Canelo swings with his chin out when he throws hooks. Then he said that Canelo is on his heels when he throws a hook. Then he said that Canelo is flat-footed. Then he said that Canelo avoids Jamel Charlo. Now I'm going to get into that. But what I want to get into first is the reasons why I think he said these things, okay? Now, being under the influence could have something to do with it. I'm not going to rule that out that, he could be on that nose candy. That could be the case. That, the nose candy hit an effect. And also just, we've known Oscar to have alcohol habits. We know that as well, And who knows, he may be have developed a tree habit. So I'm not ruling that out, right? I definitely will not rule that out. Thing is, too, is that there could be some bitterness. Because you have to understand that he lost his cash cow. Now, behind him losing his cash cow, I think there was something deeper behind that. What I think that was behind that was the fact that what I truthfully think, is that behind the scenes, Oscar wanted him to fight those guys. Oscar wanted him to fight the creme de la creme of the middleweight and of the super welterweight division at the time. That's what I think. Now, granted, Oscar was capping for Canelo, saying that, he's the face of boxing. Canelo's the cash cow. He can do what he wants. I do feel that Oscar was capping for him. I think he was saving face just to keep Canelo happy. That's what I think, is that when he was on Golden Boy, he was trying to keep Canelo happy. Now, the thing is about Oscar De La Hoya, win, lose, or draw, he fought everybody. He fought Manny Pacquiao. He fought Floyd Mayweather, although he was he wasn't like the Golden Boy when he fought Floyd Mayweather. He fought Bernard Hopkins. He fought Felix Trinidad. He fought Ike Corte. He fought, I believe he also fought Pernell Whitaker. He fought like the who's who of boxing at his time. He didn't turn down a fade. He fought Sugar Shane Mosley. So the thing is, he fought everybody that was available at the time. He fought Mayorga. He fought everybody, right? So this is complete opposite of what Canelo is doing, right? Canelo is not fighting everybody. Canelo is not even fighting a good person and then taking a tune-up fight to fight a better person. He's not even doing that. Canelo is just doing, in essence, what he wants to do. But that's not necessarily what true boxing fans want to see. But at this point, he doesn't care what true boxing fans want to see. As a matter of fact, he came out and said, nobody will be satisfied with who I fight. And that's a lie. That's a lie. Because we want to see fights that make for an exciting fight. Okay, I'm sorry to say it, but a fight with Yildirim is not going to make for an exciting fight. Everybody knew what was going to happen. A fight with darn Callum Smith is not going to make for an exciting fight. Right? So, with that being said, I do think there is some truth to what Oscar De La Hoya was saying. Now, as far as Canelo doing that little looping hook or doing the hook and sticking his chin out, that is true. In most of his fights, he does telegraph punches, okay? He does really telegraph it. You know when punches are coming when he's throwing them, because he loads up. And the one time that you definitely know he's throwing something is when he does this one thing where he does like I want to say he does a like he fakes as if he's gonna throw one punch and he's gonna throw another punch. He does that with like this kind of like uppercut to hook thing that he does, but it's telegraphed, and anybody who has like some really good skill can time him and knock him out and connect. And that's another thing too, is that there was one video with him showing Andy Ruiz this one kind of hook punch, but the thing is, it was like so telegraphed. It could be timed. It was very powerful, but it was just like, yo, you can time that, no problem. And so, with that being said, I do agree with De La Hoya in that regards. It's that, yeah, man, Canelo sticks his chin out when he throws hooks. Now, as far as the being on the heels throwing the hooks, I got to look more into that. I got to look more into it. I got to maybe watch a couple of Canelo fights and see if he's planted when he's throwing hooks, you know. Now, as far as being flat-footed, absolutely. Canelo is flat-footed. You know, everybody knows that. Canelo don't got no footwork. You know, everybody knows that. Who watches the sport knows that Canelo doesn't have footwork. I mean, that's just how the way it goes in the school of Eddie Reynoso. In the school of Eddie Reynoso, you don't need to have footwork. As a matter of fact, and everybody knows I'm a fan of Cuban fighters. Everybody knows that I go hard for Cuban fighters, right? I go very hard for them. But as a matter of fact, I want to say that when it comes to Frank Sanchez, who trains in their stable, you know, it is what it is. And I never thought I was going to say this, but he's not what he can be. He comes from that Cuban school. You would expect him to utilize the tools of that Cuban school. But no, they got him fighting in all types of other ways in which don't benefit him. As a matter of fact, his last fight, he looked pretty bad. So in the school of Eddie Reynoso, footwork is not an issue. You know? It's not a concern of his. Footwork is really not a concern in the school of Eddie Reynoso. So yes, Canelo is flat-footed. We all know that. Now, in terms of him avoiding Jermell Charlo, I have two things to say about that. The first thing is when Jermell Charlo was on Golden Boy, that fight could have been made, but Oscar didn't make it. You know, Oscar didn't really as a matter of fact, Oscar didn't really push Jermell Charlo on Golden Boy. You know what I mean? And and to be honest, I don't think he was really looking forward to making the fight with him and Canelo. I really don't think that was in the plans for him. So I don't know about that part, but let's take it a step further. When Canelo got off of Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya came out and said in order for him to be great, he's going to need to fight Jermall Charlo, and he's going to need to fight Demetrius Anderson, right? But let's just keep it a buck and let's keep it a beat, right? And Canelo fans are gonna, of course, be mad at what I have to say. And I'm talking about the nationalistic Canelo fans. Hopefully the Canelo fans who love boxing will just be understand what I'm saying is just like, sorry to say it, it's facts. But as far as Canelo is concerned, I've been said this. Canelo is not what they make him out to be in terms of boxing skills. Canelo is a good fighter, but he's not what they make him out to be. Canelo is limited, okay? If you put Canelo against a Bivol, stylistic nightmare, as I've said in previous videos, Bivol is long, Bivol has hand speed, Bivol can box better than Canelo, and Bivol has a subtle defense that I believe will have Canelo missing a lot of shots. As a matter of fact, Bivol would just break Canelo down. That's what I think. I really just believe that with the type of style that Bivol has, he would just break Canelo down. Okay? Now, everybody knows I am not a fan of the Charlotte sisters. I'm not a fan at all. Okay? I don't like either of them. Okay, but stylistically, Jamal Charlo's jab and his athleticism will probably give Canelo a torrid time. Okay? And he does have power too. That's the thing. But although he couldn't get Derevyanchenko out of there, he beat up Derevyanchenko pretty bad. I mean, Derevyanchenko, he looked bad in that fight. Meaning that he looked like he was getting like beat up badly. You know, I think his eyes were closed, and sometimes the refs was like looking at it like, yo, man, we may need to stop this fight. That's how badly he was getting beat up. Okay? Now, as I said, I don't like Jamal Charlo, I don't like Jamel Charlo, but I just got to keep it a buck. Okay? Now, in terms of, and I've been said this, and I'm going to say it again, but I just have to say it. But, well, before I say this, let me say what else I was going to say. Now, probably out of the good fighters in the weights that Canelo campaigns at, because he, you know, you never know what weight he's going to campaign at. Sometimes it's catch weight, sometimes it's 160, sometimes it's 168, sometimes it's 175. You never really know with Canelo. So, in terms of probably easiest fight, it would probably be Beterbiev, because probably, you know, Beterbiev would just like pretty much pressure Canelo. And Beterbiev is heavy-handed though. He has power. You know, so I don't know if Canelo will go toe-to-toe with him. He's definitely not slipping those punches, because we saw how that worked out when he fought Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders, you know, the crazy thing is that he wasn't slipping a lot of punches. You didn't see that defense that everybody talks about. You didn't see it in that fight. So that's what I'm saying. When you get these guys in there, you know, it's a different story. It's a way different story, bro. I'm telling you. It's different when you get someone who's like, how should I put it? Who's a killer and just wants to prove himself a killer. It's way different when you have that than when you have freaking the Yildirims, the Rocky Fieldings, the darn Liam Smiths, the Callum Smiths. It's way different when you have someone who's hungry, someone who's driven, someone who wants to prove themselves, and someone who's not just looking for a cash out, right? That's the thing about that. So, as I continue on, you know who I'm going to say. Demetrius Andrade. Here you got a guy who's fast. Here you got a guy who got pop. Here you got a guy who is elusive. Here you got a guy who's switch hitting. Here you got a guy who can either sit down on his punches or box on his toes, who has hand speed and throws punches in bunches. Canelo doesn't want none of that. Canelo doesn't want none of that. And Oscar just confirmed that, by only Oscar saying just Jermell Charlo, Oscar De La Hoya confirmed that he doesn't want any of those guys. All he had to do was say one name, and then you just already know what time it is. But with that being said, Canelo, he responded by saying something like F off or F you or something about betrayal or something like that, something to that effect, So he didn't deny what Oscar De La Hoya was saying. He didn't say I'll fight anybody. He didn't say anything like that. He said nothing of that sort. So what he's trying to do is fight Caleb Plant and get undisputed. And his nationalistic Mexican fans are going for it. That's the crazy thing. They're going for it, and they're just, I guess you can say, enjoying that narrative. They're enjoying that narrative, and it is what it is. I still don't think Canelo's going to fight those guys. I don't think he's going to fight Demetrius Andrade and things like that. Because the thing is that with these fighters, what they're looking to do is not only looking for a paycheck, but they're looking to do something great that would shake up the sport. They're looking to do what Muhammad Ali did to Sonny Liston. They're looking to do those things. They're looking to say, I shook up the world. I beat the guy that you guys said was the best. I beat him. And I beat him. Yeah, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that. They're looking to change the game of boxing. Because I'm just going to be honest, Canelo is holding up a lot of boxing right now with how he's moving. He's holding up fights, And I think, honestly, from a true fan perspective, he's taking us backwards. He's taking the sport backwards. I'm just going to be real. He is taking the sport backwards with how he's moving. And so, that's the one thing I don't appreciate. It's bro, we're trying to progress in the sport, and we're trying to get the best fights. And you're not trying to get that, man. You're really not. But, with that being said, I'm just going to say one more thing, and this is what's ironic about the whole Canelo thing. This is what's ironic. What happened is that, the pro Canelo channels didn't come out against Oscar De La Hoya about what he said, right? And there's one channel, I'm not going to name him because I don't like to talk about people, but I'm not going to name his full name, but everybody knows what his name starts with. It starts with an I. This is the same guy who said Mikey Garcia would beat Errol Spence. But, something tells me that dude does a lot of meds, and so I'm just going to leave it at that. But he hasn't even came out and said anything. And I wonder why he hasn't said anything, because he's the biggest Canelo fanboy. But it is what it is, man. Canelo's been ducking real smoke, And then what these Canelo fans do, they try to deflect. And I have my receipts. I don't even need to explain the receipts. I don't even need to explain it. Keep on saying Demetrius Andrade ducked Lara, Demetrius Andrade ducked Derevyanchenko. They keep on saying all of this stuff But I'm in touch with his father, homie. I'm in touch with his team. I know what goes on behind the scenes, okay? You guys don't. And you guys are the same ones who said he was ducking Liam Williams or whatever. You guys were saying that. It's a matter of fact that the one channel holder who's a Canelo cheerleader actually insinuated that he was ducking Liam Williams. And we saw how that went. And then one last thing, you Canelo fans, what you guys like to do is, he was buzzed by such and such, such and such. Oh, he was dropped by such and such, such and such. But you didn't have that energy when Ryan Garcia got dropped by slow as molasses Luke Campbell. That's the thing about you Canelo fans, man. You guys are not even fans of boxing, most of you guys. You guys are a fan of nationality. That's what you guys are a fan of. And I can go into a video, but I'm not going to go into the video about the politics that come with this, because it is racism. A lot of these Canelo fans are the same ones who I would have to test their jaw if I was back on my ignorant stuff, if I was walking down Florence Boulevard and one of them wanted to test me. They would be the same ones I would have to like fade. You know, they would be the same ones me and the homies would have to go on a mission on, you know, because they shot at us and then we got to just go back and shoot at them. You know, those are the Canelo fans. For, I would say, a good 90% of Canelo fans are that way. You know, I would say maybe 10% will actually agree and will want to see him fight a Jamal Charlo, will want to see him fight a Demetrius Andre, will want to see him fight a David Benavidez. The rest of them don't want to see that, you know. But anyhow, that's all I got for now, guys. Leave your comments. Let me know what you thought about what Oscar De La Hoya had to say about that whole situation, you know. Fula signing out. Jaron.